The things that has been the center of conversation here at Portland this weekend was first brought up right after the Indianapolis 500, but has been in discussion for a very long time. Apparently, an announcement was made by Balestre of the FISA while at the Le Mans race that it was a done deal. There were going to be 3.5-liter methanol-fueled, normally aspirated engines for the Indianapolis 500 and several other international races beginning in 1993. That was immediately denied. The United States Auto Club, over the signature of Dick King, the president of USAC, put out a release and said, while that has been suggested, Tony George has talked about it, but it's not a decision that has in fact been made. They're continuing to look at it, but what it did do was stimulate more and more conversation. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? One of the arguments is it would bring more manufacturers into the sport. An argument against it is the engine isn't designed to run on methanol or to last a long time. You can't unplug a gasoline-powered 3.5 and stick it in and make it a methanol. There are problems on both sides. How do you view the issue?
Well, you're right. A lot of people thought it would be a good idea because the 3.5-liter engines are available. They have been built because they do use them in Formula One. But you're right. It's not a case of just turning it over to a methanol engine. Nigel Mansell was very pointed in his remarks recently when he said there is no way an engine like we use can go 500 miles. So they will have to change it quite dramatically. But let me just give you a couple of numbers. If you buy an IndyCar engine, an approximate price is $100,000. V10 Judd Formula One engine, the 3.5-liter normally aspirated, is £100,000. Now, you know, given the exchange rate, it's actually probably double the price. It only lasts half as long. So although it has been suggested, I think it will take a lot of study before they can make a constructive and clever and wise decision whether to adopt such an engine formula or not.
One of the things I heard out of engineers like Nigel Bennett of Penske was leave the rules alone. As long as you do, everything gets closer and closer together. Well, we asked some of the guys that would have to deal with it, 3 drivers, Michael and Mario Andretti and Rick Mears, about their reaction to the possibility, not the reality, of a 3.5-liter engine at Indianapolis.
I'll believe it when Tony George announces it officially. There's a lot of talk, and I think I support the idea. I'm not sure if I support it for 93, maybe more for 94, but I think for the long term, you know, the year 2000, I think Indy cars need to do something as drastic as this. It may hurt IndyCar racing, you know, in the near future, but I think it's only going to be a temporary thing, and if we can get more manufacturers involved and get more money into the series, I think it'll be, in the end, better for everybody.
I think it's going to be a tough sell, but I think it's worth trying to sell. I really do. Personally, I think it's worth trying to sell. I mean, let's face it, we have to look at not just next year, the year after. We're going into the 21st century, in a sense, with this formula. I would suspect that based on the success that we've seen so far in Group C and in Formula One and the amount of manufacturers involved, it's got to be, you know, the light has to go on. You know, there's got to be something that tells you maybe that's the way to go.
To me, my reservation is I think we're as competitive now as we've ever been. We have more cars capable of winning races than I've ever seen in the history that I've been here in IndyCar racing in 14 years. And I know I'm having to scratch harder for every point than I ever have. So I don't see how we can make it a lot better. I think the key to it being the way it is today and as competitive today is the fact that the rules haven't changed. That's the secret. And that's allowed everybody to catch up. As soon as you start changing, then the teams that can respond the fastest will have the gain and the advantage, and that'll split up the, you know, the numbers again. And they won't be as competitive unless you leave it again for a long period of time. So I think that's one of the secrets.
Well, you can't dispute the fact that it is a fairly competitive season. And there's a couple of opinions. You can think of what yours may be as well.
What I like about 3.5-liter engines is a glorious sound from the V10s and V12. So if they go 3.5-liter, don't stipulate it has to be a V8.
Glorious sound, which may be one of the problems. Some of the street races might have a problem with that. Let's go down to